I can't speak on behalf of them. I'm not myself black, and I wouldn't.
But you can see.
We've got a fresh one coming in. This one coming in.
Amazing.
Annihilation Prism says, for hake, Lenin praised Washington's 1776 and Lincoln's anti-slavery crusade in the Civil War as revolutionary in his letter to the American workers. What is your response to that?
It's a red flag. I think there's a lot of melodrama about slavery and this pretense that they make it sound worse than it really was. I think there's much worse evil today. I think the Democrats today are much more evil than the Democrats who owned the slaves. And the 1776 thing, it's nice. It's a nice sentiment. I get that they want to latch on and support the revolution, but I think our revolution, as far as my impression, was more righteous and based in God and nature's God. Right, whereas the communists are atheist.
You got it. And that is it for questions. We do want to say, folks, our guests are linked in the description. We really do appreciate these guys. The debaters are the lifeblood of the channel, so you can find their links.
Well, and I think, come on, we can't. Most Americans understand that slavery is probably the biggest historical evil in this country. Look. We can't say. I mean, you understand slavery is a great historical evil, right?
I don't know. There were decent and indecent slave owners. And it's not ideal. It's not ideal to have slavery, but it's not ideal what we have today. And we have actual mass killings of babies in the womb.
I think on this point, that's just a red line that I don't think I could ever come to an agreement with you. Like that, I think that is way beyond the realm of conceivability for just normal Americans. Like slavery is its evil was so unprecedented in the history of humanity that
Are you serious?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And
man.
Yeah, that is
it was a reality of all of history.
No, the slavery that existed in the United States was qualitatively different than historical slavery because it was a modern form of slavery where slave owners were able to do whatever they wanted. There was no
we made them Christians.
In the past, slavery merely referred to a relation of power that existed before, ambiguously, right? In the Islamic world, slaves were able to actually take power, right? So it was an ambiguous thing.
Slaves were castrated in the Islamic world.
That's just coming left field, right? It's just left field to talk about to try and downplay the crimes of American slavery. We fought a civil war to eliminate that evil from the face of this country.
You did not.
Millions died in that war, and I think it is fundamentally anti-patriotic to try and downplay the historical evil of slavery.
Well, part of that is an attack on the South. The beautiful South is more Christian, more down to earth, more decent, honestly, to the black community than anybody else in America.
But regardless of the South today, we did fight a civil war to eliminate slavery and to to downplay the historical evil of slavery is a form of treason, in my view, against the very basis of this country. Right?
Well, honestly, they were not treasonous when they fought against the North. They had legitimate grievances.
We don't have time to get into a debate about the question of the Civil War, but I do find it extremely appalling and inhuman to speak about slavery in this way. Because
I think
you will never be able to come to a common understanding or a common point of unity with the various different peoples in this country if you try to downplay the historical evils and injustices.
I'm telling the reality of it.
The black community. No, I don't even think you adequately represent the Trump's own movement when you say this. I think even Trump's movement can admit the extreme historical evil that is slavery, and to stoop to such a low level so as to try and downplay that and insult the black people and citizens of this country, I think that is fundamentally appalling.
Blacks should be grateful. to be in this country. They should be grateful for that by way of slavery.
No, that's just what you're
I'm
saying
serious.
is just a bunch of nonsense. You're
No,
speaking
what you're saying is
right
nonsense.
Now.
What you're saying is keeping
speaking
them
a bunch
angry.
of nonsense right now. Black people fundamentally played an instrumental part in building this country. You're talking about they should be great. That's complete nonsense.
They should be grateful.
Should
they not be grateful to be here now?
You're speaking a bunch of nonsense right now. You're speaking a bunch of
this
nonsense
is
right
communism.
now.
This is
and
communism.
by saying this, you're serving the current establishment because you're trying to sow unneeded and unnecessary racial division by saying
this is
something
reality.
so anti-human and inhumane.
No, you people support abortion. Give me a break.
We're not talking about abortion right now. We're talking
that's
about
much worse. That's much worse. And it's happening today.
We are talking about the fact
it's happening
that
today.
your insult against the black people of this country.
You're the one insulting them. You're treating them like children.
Incompatible with any pretense that you want to see past the divisions and get to a point of unity.
You're treating blacks like children. You should be ashamed of yourself. It's pathetic. You think like a female. You're treating the blacks.
Okay, you're speaking about thinking like a female,
like a woman.
I can't think of anything more fucking cowardly than trying to downplay the historical evil of slavery. It's either that you're ignorant and you don't understand
that's just melodrama.
Or you are being deliberately malicious.
No, you have to use the misery. You have to use the anger. You have to use the false anger about something long past in order to prop up your communism.
You are saying unspeakably evil things. If someone was advocating in favor of pedophilia, would you not be angry?
It's long over.
What if someone was defending pedophilia? Wouldn't that make you a little bit angry?
They do it all the time.
Okay, but human beings should be angry when people say unspeakably evil.
No,
things.
you fight evil.
Yeah,
you fight evil, but you don't be angry.
That is fundamentally an evil thing you're saying.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Slavery was one of the greatest historical evils in the history of humanity.
How so?
Because it was the modern form of slavery. It's literally in the name. People were reduced to objects. They didn't even have the minimal status of being recognized as human beings.
I understand. It's not ideal.
And the devastation that this has caused to the black community and the scars of this evil to this very day.
Not true. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Absolutely.
Nope. The only scars are the anger that you
about issues facing the black family.
Yeah.
What event in history could be more catastrophic for building the foundation of a family than something like slavery?
Slavery, they had their families more than today. And they had their families after slavery more than today. It was the 60s and 70s.
Right now.
That's real. Look it up.
And infamous cruelty of the
No,
slave
you're ignorant
owners.
right here.
Listen, we fought a civil war to eliminate this evil.
You did not.
Forever.
Stop saying we.
We did. I am an American. I was born in this country. I'm just as much of an American as you are. And I am an American
anti-American.
citizen. So yes.
You're feeling sorry for the blacks.
We did fight that.
You're feeling sorry for people long dead.
I am not feeling sorry.
Yes, you are.
Feeling my patriotic duty of honoring the tradition and history of this country to fight and eliminate from the face of the earth the widely recognized historical evil of this country. That is all I'm doing.
You didn't even explain how it's evil.
I didn't explain how it's evil that we say all men are born equal, and yet some people live in chains and are reduced. They're attempted to reduce to the status of cattle and animals. I think it's self-evident the way
we made them Christians. They were happier.
There is nothing Christian about the institution of slavery. It's a mimicry of the pagan form.
It's irrelevant.
The pagan form of Roman slavery. The leaders of the Confederates were among the debauched, depraved, and decadent elites in history.
Some of them
had nothing to do with Christianity.
They were more honorable than you or me.
Secretly, there you had the elements of paganism and complete anti-Christianity among them. This has nothing to do with Christianity whatsoever. The most fervent Christians at the time were fighting to free their fellow man from the bondage of slavery. John Brown was fundamentally religious.
A terrorist.
He was absolutely
an angry terrorist. John Brown was an angry terrorist and a murderer. Is the slavery in Africa?
You call John Brown a terrorist and a murderer, and meanwhile the Union Army was singing his song.
This is communism. By any means necessary. Just anger and lies.
Listen.
and murder.
Listen, human beings have the right to be angry about fundamentally unjust things.
Not true.
Yeah.
No, they don't have the right to be angry. Were the blacks enslaved in Africa?
Do.
Is that evil?
They absolutely do. And you are playing into the tropes of the media that all conservatives are racist, which I do not fundamentally believe. Because
you think I'm racist?
I think it is fundamentally racist to try and downplay the historical evil of slavery, and you are particularly insulting the black community
No.
to such an extent that no possible inroads or alliance or reaching out is possible between you and the black community.
Blacks calling into my show every day agreeing with me. They're not as soft-hearted as you think.
If you were to say that slavery was not that bad, I do not think you would have people believe.
Why do you need it to be so bad?
It's not that I need it to be bad. It is a matter of historical record that it was a fundamental evil. It's inscribed into the very basis of our country as from the Civil War. The Civil War wasn't for nothing.
In order to ignore the present day evils that we have going on right now. It's insane.
Listen, you honestly sound more like a Democrat right now than anything else. For you to apologize for slavery,
I'm not
Democrats also
you mean defending it?
At the time, is just fundamentally appalling and revolting.
Are Democrats not worse today than during slavery? Therefore, killing the babies in the womb?
Listen, there is no need to lie about the historical record and change things to such an extent in this way.
If anything, are you kidding me? Have you seen the people making a melodrama about slavery? Every slavery movie, the 1619 Project, just outright lies about how bad slavery was.
The way you combat the lies of the 1619 Project is not to deny the historical evil of slavery, but to recognize that it was the intention of the Founding Fathers from the outset to eliminate this evil, and the Civil War was the manifestation of this inevitable historical mission. A historical mission I would call a holy mission even.
I think that it's just as you can't recognize good, you can't properly recognize evil. So
well,
I think
we are not going to be.
I think you're getting emotional about it.
We are not going to be able to agree upon this.
No, I know. I understand that.
Whatsoever.
But your argument is emotional.
Well, it's not simply emotional.
And communism is slavery.
Listen, you have said something fundamentally appalling and anti-human. That's all I can say.
No, it's not abortion is anti-human, and the Democrats today support it.
There is no need to
address that. Address abortion.
No need to insult an entire group of people by trying to downplay the historical evil of slavery.
They don't. The last thing they need is people feeling sorry for them and pretending that it was so bad.
They did not even
experience it.
Normal. I don't think American conservatives agree with you. We're talking about normal baseline,
and that's why they lose.
No,
that's why American conservatives are losing.
You are beyond the threshold of sanity.
No, man.
Got a few more questions that just came in. This one from Chris Morlock says, "How can James Hake claim to be a Christian when he cannot see evil is slavery?"
Because slavery is not inherently evil. It's not ideal. You don't want it. If you can get your freedom, you should do so. I suppose I'm happy. I don't know if I'm happy about the way it went down. I hear a lot of things about that stuff. But evil is real, and evil is more subtle than these people realize.
Long Night's YouTube and says, "As a black man, thank you, infrared."
Sim.
Shaggy Boy says, "Y'all read Streamlabs?" We don't have Streamlabs. It kept crashing on us. Amazing. But Base Stalin, it says, "Hank, how is an economic system that encourages greed and envy more Christian than one that promotes equality and helping your fellow man?"
That's what communism is. It's based on envy. It's based on covetousness. It's based on jealousy and anger and a false sense of justice, the playing God when you're not God and you think like a woman. How does it feel to think like a woman?
I told you, that's going to get us in trouble with...
Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. How do you think...
Stalinist says, "Hank, how..." We got that one. Chris Morlock says, Hank, does the Bible not say in Exodus 21:16, quote, "Whoever steals a man and sells him, an and anyone found in possession of him shall be put to death.
I think that was talking about fellow Israelites. Even the black Hebrew Israelites themselves, whom I talk to, they're pro-slavery. They just don't want to enslave one another.
Gotcha. I think there might be one more. This one coming in from Hitch Wagster says, Haas, aren't you framing slavery as a past evil and ignoring all the slavery that we still have today?
No, my position is crystal clear. All I am doing is doing the baseline recognition that slavery was an utmost historical evil that should not be apologized for, downplayed, or there should be no revisionism of this fact. We should recognize this baseline fact. We fought a war that tore this country apart on the basis of the recognition of this fact. It's as simple as that.
In Islamic countries, they were castrated. In African countries, they're enslaved to this day. I think you're downplaying the worldwide evil and upplaying the evil of America.
I'm not downplaying any instance or evil of slavery whatsoever, but I'm just recognizing the qualitatively distinct and distinctly evil nature of slavery on the American continent, specifically leading up to the Civil War.
How old are you?
25.
Yeah, see, that's why you're brainwashed in this way. I'm 40. When I was in school, we learned that there were good and bad slave owners.
Listen, I think
and that's just common sense. Common sense says so.
This view is fundamentally incompatible
with communism.
This is like saying there can be a good and bad rapist.
There's nothing about slavery that's rape.
Yes, there certainly is, actually.
Nope,
yes, there is.
Nope.
Actually, there fundamentally is, and it's a matter of historical record and widely documented.
I recognize that there may have been rapes that took place, but that's rape. Rape is wrong. Slavery is not ideal.
And the two were fundamentally intertwined with one and another.
You're making that claim, but again, there were
it's a matter of historical fact.
So every slave owner committed a rape against every slave.
Listen, the two were fundamentally intertwined as a phenomenon.
You're making it
okay.
Clear
We
as
are
mud.
speaking nonsense. Let's continue to move on.
Clear as mud, just muddying the waters.
This question coming in from Steve, who says, I could be wrong, maybe I misheard him, but did James Hake say that slaves were, quote, treated well?
They were treated well. Many were treated well. They were raised Christian. Some were even taught to read, which reading was not widespread even among whites. So overall, we treated them quite well compared to many other cultures.
This one coming in from Adam Albilia. Good to see you, longtime viewer. Says, Infrared, it seems like what Hake is trying to say is that, quote, you haven't demonstrated how enslaving people is evil.
Yep.
I think it's a self-evident and absurd, it's the reason why is just self-evident. If we have to get to a point where we have to debate about why slavery is fundamentally evil, then everything else becomes up to debate too, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want to arrive at a situation where we have to start debating about things like pedophilia, things we know intuitively and inherently to be wrong.
God is self-evident, but you're relying on your feelings. You're lost about that.
Like I said, there are lines we should not cross as human beings, as a matter of basic human decency and humanity.
Sorry.
Freedom of
This one coming in
speech.
from Hakeem says, Hake, how do you react to the British deep state's attempt to assassinate Lincoln by supporting unpatriotic John Wilkes Booth and the Confederacy? Also, shout out to Infrared and RTSG.
I don't know much about that, but it sounds like it was evil fighting against maybe evil. I don't know whether Abraham Lincoln was good or evil, because you can't trust any history nowadays, much less the mainstream media present day.
You got it. And with that, do want to remind you our guests are linked in the description, folks. It has been a lively one to be sure. And we are excited for this other lively one that I had mentioned earlier in the stream, as we have confirmed it just a couple weeks ago. Destiny and Stefan Molyneux in the last week of this month. You don't want to miss it. That's going to be a juicy one. So hit that subscribe button. And want to say thanks again, James Hake, as well as Infrared. It has been a juicy one to say the least.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Okay. Yep.
Thank you. And I'll be back in a moment, folks, to give you updates on upcoming debates. So stick around for that.
Okay, bye.